Welcome everybody. Welcome to number 94 of the Omnic Lab. This week, we have a very intriguing episode that Andres has been cooking up on the back end. If you're new here, we are normally a podcast that does strategy. So we kind of do it in a lab-like format where we mix things up. Sometimes things blow up in our faces when we try to implement top 500 strategies and any other ELO, but sometimes we also try to meet you in the middle and try to bridge that gap for you, the player, to get those instruments that you need to gain a strategic edge. So this week, your hosts, Rob May from Japan, Andres from Georgia, joined by the one and only Doomfist extraordinaire, ChipSa. Welcome to the show, ChipSa.
Thank you. Means a lot.
Thanks for joining us all the way to London. We are bridging the gap between not just 3 time zones, but 3 different countries this week.
We're really stretching the bounds of scheduling here.
We really are. And we had a little scare in the pre-show with Discord deciding that it was just like going to straighten nope on this stream today. So hopefully we can get you guys going on the live show and have a decent setup for YouTube today. But we'll make it work. And at least in post, if you are listening to this in your podcastees apps of choice, it will not be messed up. So, what are we doing this week, Andres? Why don't you? I'm just gonna turn it to you because this is your brainchild.
Yeah, absolutely. So today we have a pretty cool episode. We've brought ChipSa. For those of you who don't know who he is the #1 Doomfist on the ladder. He's an incredible player. He also plays a couple other things. We're also gonna be discussing Sombra, some of the changes, how she feels after the buff, her playstyle. But we'll also be picking his brain on how he's learned to play Doomfist in his particular style and what drove him to play such an odd hero. We don't see a lot of people flying out with Doomfist a lot, although it's become a little more common, in part thanks to people like ChipSa. So I've been talking too much. I want to know a little bit about you, man. How did you get into Overwatch and gaming in general? How did you get here?
Well, basically, when it comes to gaming, I've been gaming basically my entire life. But when it comes to Overwatch, I used to play TF2 on like a somewhat competitive level. I played competitive, I wasn't very good. I played League of Legends, I played CSGO, I played a bunch of other games. But when Overwatch got announced, I was like, this game's 100% for me. Like, it's basically just TF2 and League of Legends kind of mixed together.
Yeah.
So it's like, it was basically just the perfect game for me, and I basically just grinded it ever since like it got released on open beta. I was like so sad that I didn't get closed beta, but ever since open beta, I've been playing so hard. Yeah,
I didn't get closed beta. Only open.
I mean, closed beta back then was like, unless you were like a professional player or you were like a streamer or a YouTuber or something like that, which I wasn't at the time, you just were never getting into closed beta.
Yeah, I got really lucky. I don't know how I got a key to the close, like right at the end. I think it was like the last month, and I was like the happiest guy ever. I was like, yes, I got it.
Yeah, it's like every day I just refresh on my emails, hoping for a key, but never happened.
Yeah, I just got the closed beta weekend was the only one that I got in, and I played it like I was like, I'm gonna just play like nonstop. I thought I was gonna be a Genji main, like every other person that was playing for the first time.
Until you played him, I was like, you know what? I think this is a lot of work.
It's a little difficult. Yeah. Well, before we get started, I think we got a couple things we want to cover, and then we'll get into a little bit more detailed with what brought him to Doomfist and a little bit more of the details on ChipSa. So before we get started, a little announcement for you. We will likely be doing the game night on March 30th, like we normally do, last Friday of every month. So you can be gearing up for that. Usually around Sunday or Monday afternoon, we'll open the floodgates on the game night channels, voice channels, and such. If you guys want to do a little pre-game or pre-week type workout, you guys can make your own stuff there, but we typically won't be doing it on the mods and admin side. And we also have a sponsor this week. This will be our, at least tentatively, our final week for Top Score Solutions. Ben, aka I Need Peeling, is offering a free business consultation with esports fields. So this is for coaches looking to coach, looking to start new teams, developing app services, trying to boost an subscriber base with anything that you might be doing within esports, or you just want to work in esports. You can visit the website topscoresolutions.com, look up Top Score Esports on Twitter, or you can join the Discord server, which is located on the website. And Ben has got a master's in sports management and lots of business and marketing experience. So if you're looking for some help, please take him up on it. I will, again, shout the praises from the mountaintops, because now I am basically helping a couple guys that are working on, they're on 2 different TESPA teams, and they formed outside of TESPA, and they're trying to look for open, and I'm helping them out as a coach, and it's really, really fun. And I really enjoy my players. Shout out to the Platinum Pilgrims, which is our team name. It's the weirdest name ever, but the guys are really enjoying themselves, and we're trying to work around some really intriguing strategies. So yeah, if you guys are looking for esports stuff, check it out. And last up is our partner, the Omnic Meta. If you guys are wanting to check out the Sombra analysis with some stats and some charts on win rate increases and pick rate increases within all skill tiers, you can go check out omnicmeta.com and check out all of the work that Switch put into that analysis. And we might even be dipping our fingers into it today a little bit more. That being said, let's talk with ChipSa. ChipSa, tell us about your quick gaming background, maybe even before League of Legends. You can even go back further if you'd like. And what your aspirations are moving forward with the Fist and the Hacker.
I mean, besides League of Legends, I mean, I just played like what everyone else did in school. You know, you played Call of Duty, you played FIFA, you played all of these games. I mean, at least FIFA was big in the UK.
Nice.
FIFA was really big in the UK.
It was big in Latin America too. I'm a big FIFA guy.
Yeah.
It wasn't big in the States, but I still played it.
I mean, yeah, I just played the casual stuff. The only game I really played competitive was, again, TF2. And then I guess League of Legends I played competitive, not really though. I just played solo queue. And CS:GO again, I just played solo queue. But Overwatch is the only game besides TF2, Overwatch is the only game I've really actually try harded in. And as for future plans, I don't know. I might try to go back into the pro scene, but I don't know really. It's especially with like uni and streaming and stuff. It just takes a lot of time, and it's time I don't really have. You know.
So what did you play in the pro scene?
I was a projectile player. I mainly played Genji for a team, Hammers Esports. They were called the Chavs back then. We were like a top 5 team in EU at the time. And it was like around the end of 2016 I left the team, and I haven't played since. But I was mainly a projectile player, like Genji, like Pharah, Junkrat, those kind of heroes.
So you were with the Hammers Esports team, yeah?
Yes, yes. Well, I wasn't on the team when it became Hammers, but I was on the pre-iteration of the Chavs, you know?
Oh, very nice.
Before they took Bird Noises, yeah.
No, not that team. It was a European team. It was Bird Noises with the American team, but Hammers. Then Hammers got picked up by LG. Then, so then I was on the European team that got picked up by Hammers after Bird Noises got picked up by LG.
Remember.
Yeah.
There you go.
Okay.
Very cool. So right now you've been focusing on your stream. You get a pretty healthy stream going on. People know you as a Doomfist guy. I think that's kind of where you've been putting your efforts. How's that going for you? And is it kind of that route that you want to continue on, just the streamer?
I mean, yeah, I'm just going to be streaming for as long as I enjoy it. If I was to go pro again, I'd have to cut down on the stream. But I mean, I could probably still stream and go pro at the same time. But
that's what a lot of them are doing right now, right?
Yeah,
a lot of pros haven't let it go of their stream because it's enjoyable, you know, and it's your own space. You create it how you like it.
But like, the problem is if you scrim and you stream, it's like it's very intense and it's very strange schedule because I'd have to scrim at night or I'd have to stream at night. You know, it's just not that simple, really.
Burnout starts appearing and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Doomfist itself. How did you get into Doomfist, and why have you continued improving and iterating on him?
I don't know. I just thought Doomfist was a hero that would be required in my hero pool if I was to go. Because I've always been someone who wants to improve. And then because I'm a projectile player, Doomfist kind of plays like a projectile hero because it's about and it's mainly about movement, which is something I've always enjoyed. You know, heavy movement outplays, those kind of things. He's a very, very mechanically intense hero. He's not aim intense too much, which is good because I don't really have that good aim. But I tend to think I'm a smart player. I tend to think I have good movement, good decision making, and I'm good at predicting what enemies are going to do. And that's pretty much just the perfect hero for me. Incredibly high outplay potential, which is always nice, getting this flashy outplays. And I just started playing him on because back then I was watching scrims for Hammers, and then when Doomfist came on PTR, they scrimmed against Renegades, I think it was, and Zachary played like Doomfist like for the full block. So what I did is I just recorded his POV and just watched back the 2 hours of him playing, and just like learned everything that he did, and then just improved on it on the PTR server. And then when it came to live, and basically the second it came onto competitive, I just grinded it.
You were ready
non-stop.
to go, huh?
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you ever watch Leaf play? Because I've heard a lot of people say that Leaf is a very good Doomfist player, and I wanted to see if you've kind of observed his play style, because he does seem to play it a little bit differently than.
Leaf.
Guys.
The difference between like Leaf and me is because since I play solo queue, you play the hero completely different in solo queue than when you do when you play in like a professional environment, because you just can't do the stuff I do in solo queue because people will just destroy you. You know. Leaf was probably the best Doomfist back then because, again, he, like me, would just grind the hero nonstop. And he played on the iteration where Doomfist was like super, super, super good with his right-click hitbox being like 10 trucks long.
Outrageous.
Yeah, so like the style you played back then was you just play for your right-click. You just right-click in, you shift E out. But that's not the style you play anymore because your right-click's just not consistent enough to do it. But Leaf kind of started... The only time Leaf played on stream was like, I don't know, a while after I felt like I'd already learned the hero to a pretty good degree. So
gotcha.
I felt like me and Leaf were on a pretty similar level at that point. So yeah, I don't really learn that much from him.
Nice. Very cool. All right, and we'll get into all of that playstyle and the things that you master, all the combos, in just a second. Before we do that, I do want to get into a little bit of Sombra discussion, and I know that, Rob, you want to thank all of our Diamond patrons over here.
Yeah, so let's do that. Just a quick note. Thank you to our Diamond sponsors. We had the monthly rollover of patrons, so we were able to get not only theirs, but everyone else's that sponsors the show with just some little cash here and there. I'm really struggling today to speak. I don't know why. I might need to go to the fridge and grab a coffee, but special thanks to Ben K, Chris DePlaya, Good Apollo, Golden Soldier A, Great Root Bear of the 5 Deadly Venoms, Jeff B, Kip, Lysum, Magic, Never Clutch, Not Meta, Jan Jinkle, Ricky Tiki, Shazir, Top Score Solutions, of course, and Tragic Zach. Thank you guys for being the top level sponsors. And the newcomers this week, we have Mitch M and Logic. I'm saying it really weird because he spelled it as in law, like Lawgic. But thank you guys. You are awesome. I don't want to belabor the point, but if you want to support the show like these guys do, if it's a cup of coffee, $4 a month, $1 bazillion a month, whatever you want to do, you can choose that on Patreon. You can do that. You can even help us out. You can help ChipSa out by becoming subs because we're Twitch affiliates and he's a Twitch partner. You can watch more fists being punched. You can watch more hacks and EMPs being done. Hopefully not to our show or Discord anymore, but let's talk about some Sombra, shall we? So Sombra has gotten a very intriguing change that we knew was going to be changing the fundamentals with how a lot of people would be playing Sombra because it changed how you build Ultimate. And now they have made her into more of a sneaky mid-range bruiser, I would say. She's very, very fast. She's very agile. And also her hack has become infinitely more useful because of just disabling Lucio's disabling wall climbs, basically taking the brains out of Genji's and Hanzo's from their training under the monk of Zenyatta. They can't climb walls anymore.
Making Pharah's fall to her death. That's a thing now,
making some crazy stuff happen. But yeah, what is going on with Sombra, ChipSa? What happened?
I mean, I think the remake was good because I think that the whole concept of the only reason Sombra was viable was because you just sit and you farm a health pack for 5 seconds and you have ult. It's just stupid. I think that right now she seems a little bit it's just incredibly frustrating to play against just the way that the hack just hacks you through walls. Like you can break line of sight and you still get hacked, and it just feels kind of lame. But right now, she just played as this basically you can just play as like an anti-DPS. You hack a Tracer, she's dead. You hack a Genji, she's probably going to die. You hack a Pharah, she's dead. You hack, any of these heroes, and they're just going to die pretty much instantly to a 1v1. And she still has the same potential to sneak behind, one clip Zen, get out. Very, very low risk. I don't know how strong she actually is going to be in the meta, because it's a lot different when you play. I mean, at least in solo queue, I don't think she's going to be that good, because she requires a lot of coordination. Because a lot of the way you play Sombra at a professional level is like, let's say they're pushing with the Reinhardt, right? You will then hide somewhere with Sombra, like you play in a high ground position, and you hack the Reinhardt, and as you hack the Reinhardt, your team then pressures the Reinhardt. But that level of coordination just doesn't happen in solo queue, And like, let's say you have the Lucio has ultimate, then you hack the Lucio, you dive the Lucio, so you can't use his ult in the fight. And these kind of concepts just don't really happen in solo queue. But I think in like professional level, I think she's going to be insanely strong. She basically just counters, like, you can't play Pharah Mercy into a Sombra if she knows what she's doing, because I'm pretty sure on most maps you can just throw the translocator into the air and then hack them as you're falling down, and you'll hack the Pharah, and then she falls to the ground and she instantly dies pretty much. So you can't play Pharah Mercy into it basically. And the EMP is just still completely bonkers ultimate, especially since it now counters like any DPS, and it still has the potential to just literally instantly kill a Zen. So I think you have to kind of...
And it shuts down Zarya's too.
Yeah, like it chunks a Zarya to 200 HP. I mean, she's one of the only true counters to D.Va nowadays, because, I mean, even to D.Va, I mean, you can still tickle her with the D.Va. Yeah, but like if you hack a D.Va, she's going to die so fast.
Like everything was geared towards bringing D.Va down, and then we got Brigitte like announced. It's like, okay, so we're gonna make Mei a little bit more durable, with having more brawler potential, with having some more ammo. We're gonna help people slow down faster, so D.Vas can't get away from her. We're gonna have Sombra be able to hack them and EMP them to death, and then Brigitte, by the way, if anybody plays dive, it's just like no, like you're gonna get deleted.
I mean, I don't even honestly think D.Va's going to fall out the meta though, because I just think the hero is just absurdly broken.
Just that good.
Like there's just no hero that can do what D.Va does.
Yeah, it's just all around too good.
Yeah, I mean, even against a Sombra, like if you're hacking from behind, you can just flick and like spray your cannons in the general direction. It'll cancel the hack a lot of the time. It's one of the reasons I think Moira is really good against Sombra as well, because you hear the hack animation behind you, just instantly flick 180 with your primary fire, and you just tickle her once and it cancels a hack, Whereas playing a Zen against the Sombra is just suicide, basically.
Oh, yeah. You can't rely on those. I mean, maybe if you're Jonak, you can, but the rest of us...
So recharge the volley.
Her playstyle seems to have shifted a little bit. Like you said, before you tend to be more like a backliner. You were hugging a health pack most of the time. You're trying to build that ult. And if you were trying to be a little more organized, you would sometimes ask of your team to play around those health packs, so you could build your EMP quite fast. Now, you're kind of independent of that. So now we see some Sombras engaging with their team a little more often and being just more part of, more Tracer-like, I would say, right? Where they just leave their translocator in a safe zone and then they go flank the back line, and you're looking to get off that hack right away, which is so much more reliable now. I was watching you on stream and you were like, hacking the hell out of this poor Moira. Every time she would just, I think it was like Volskaya or something, every time she would just went into point B, it just like hack. And I believe it gets rid of her ultimate, right? Or was I dreaming? Yeah, so...
Yeah, it turns off Coalescence.
Getting rid of Coalescence right there on the spot is just such a strong mechanic. Can you speak a little bit to that? Like that shift of playstyle a little bit to a more frontliner?
Well, I think right now is, I mean, the playstyle's not too different. It's just that your individual playstyle's not that different, but your team's playstyle is completely different. I don't think you play her as like a second healer, because what teams used to do is they used to run like solo heal Lucio and a Sombra, and every time your tanks get poked at all, you just go under the mega and heal up, and then you have EMP.
Right.
That's not what you play anymore. I think you play as a second DPS. I think you play with Tracer, and what the Sombra can do is the Sombra and the Tracer can get behind her. The two easiest heroes to flank with. You then hack a target and you instantly kill them, and then you get away. And then because Sombra has almost no risk of doing that, because she can just translocate back to where she was. So generally the standard combo you'd be is you throw your translocator somewhere safe. You would run around, you invis past the team, coordinate with your Tracer, she's flanking around the other side maybe. Then you coordinate on like a Zen or something, or like an Ana or a Moira, and you insta-kill that person, and then you both run away. And then you basically just win the fight on the spot. I think she's better on defense than she's on attack, because you can set up in flank positions easier on defense than attack. And you can still play like the high ground style, where you play on like a high ground and you hack from the high ground
From above,
onto like a high value target, and then you dive that target. I still think that's incredibly strong. And the health pack denial is still really, really good.
Right.
If you can deny key health packs to people, like, it's just really nice. It just stops a Genji just being able to dash to a health pack and survive, you know?
Oh, that's the worst feeling.
He's just instantly dead, you know?
Yeah, it's the worst feeling as Genji when you dash into the room and you're like, oh, health pack. And they're like, oh, it's hacked.
And
no.
It's such an interesting dichotomy, too, because I'm sure you get questions like this being a streamer all the time. It's like, well, how is this valuable to me as, you know, a silver player? How is this valuable to me as, like, a platinum level? Because what happens is when you play Sombra at this top level, like, the level of punishment for when you make mistakes is so hair's breadth thin that when you say something, people are instantly like turning on a dime to adjust to it. And then like the lower you go, the lag time increases to the point where people either don't listen at all or cannot have the coordination to take you up on that thing. So a lot of times you have to shift your play style in this way. You can't really set up plays like Chips is talking about here. And even then, when you're playing in a coordinated like 6-stack or a team, in a competitive team, and you're playing the same Sombra thing, even then you have to tighten. You can further tighten it up. And it gets real interesting. So if you're what would you say, ChipSa, would be like your advice to somebody like just sitting in gold that's really wanting to learn this new style of Sombra? Because I know that the reduction means that you actually can build your ult still pretty quickly just from using your damage, and you do quite a good amount of medium range damage.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with Sombra is I don't really think she's a strong pick at low elo. But if you were going to play it, I just kind of play her like a little, like basically like an assassin. You just want to go, especially if the enemy team is running a Zen. What you can do is you just translocate, you sneak in, and you just try and one clip the Zen, and it's fairly easy to one clip a Zen, because his hitbox is so huge. But I think Sombra is a hero in the game. You have to use voice chat as much as you possibly can. Say like, okay, I'm going to hack this. I'm going to EMP now, because EMP as an ultimate is garbage if you don't have any follow up, because it just doesn't do anything. But if you have follow up, it's like one of the best ults in the game. So you have to coordinate with the EMP. It's also important to not waste your EMP, because you don't build it as fast. You can't just throw away an EMP and it's not going to be backup for the next fight, you know? So you have to be more careful with using it. You don't just want to, waste it when you've already 2 picks up, you know? And as per always, I think just soloing a Zen and killing him is just almost always worth for an EMP. Using your EMP for just one guaranteed kill every time, I think is normally worth. So, but sure. If they run Zen, your entire game plan, in my opinion, should just be to make the Zen's life hell.
Yeah,
she does seem like his number one enemy, the Zen's natural predator. To close out the Sombra discussion, how do you see her fitting in the meta? Do you see her being more effective on certain maps than others? Maybe running it for specific compositions or purposes? Like you said, I don't see her being like a Tracer or Diva level of usefulness, right? You're not taking her on every point, but where do you see her fitting in?
It's hard to say. I think she'll be better when you play dive. I think like Sombra Tracer dive with like Zen, Lucio, Winston, Diva is going to be good. And if you go on defense, like if you play defensive dive, you put your Sombra behind, you hack a high value target, and then you all dive that target at the same time, because there's no way they can really escape when they're hacked. That's the way I'd see her playing. She should still be very good against Ryan comps, because Sombra just destroys Ryan. Basically, you hack the Ryan. It means you can slap a Discord on for free, which means he's just going to die in like less than a second, assuming your team's coordinated. So yeah, I think she's more of a defensive dive based hero, I would say. Because when you're defending as well, you can set up to deny key health packs as well, because you can just sit on the health pack, wait for the timer to go down to 0, and then you instantly hack it. So yeah, that's the way I think Sombra's going to be played.
Do you think she's going to struggle against any particular comps? Is there any place you can think of, Sombra is really not going to cut it here? I might be picking a different hero instead.
I don't know. I think if you play dive into her, I don't think she's that good. I mean, it depends who you can. There's not really that many high value hack targets in dive. If you just try and ignore the Sombra as much as you can and just dive the backline, they don't have the same level of damage if you play Tracer Genji dive. Like Tracer Genji dive is just going to out damage Sombra dive every single time. But I don't know. It's hard to say because Sombra's not that prevalent in solo queue. I've noticed like she hasn't played like as much as I thought she would be. But it should be interesting to see. Maybe like she just doesn't do that well into quad tank because even if you EMP every tank, you have so much AoE healing with Moira. I don't really think you can kill anyone. You need more damage. You need like a Junkrat or something. Yeah, because I mean the EMP is good against the D.Va. It's good against the Zarya. It's good against the Rhine. But when you play against quad tank, the key is you need to have a lot of damage. So you have to. I mean, maybe you play it with like a Junkrat, but I just think if you're playing against quad tank, you just play either you play full dive, and you just insta kill a tank with Discord up, or you just play like triple tank Junkrat and just farm tire and use tire and blow everyone up.
And there's still one thing to note.
That sounds like my style right there. Just blow everyone up.
Yeah.
Sombra is still one of the DPS with the most utility, right? Like hack and EMP, translocator. They give you so many tools to make the other team's lives miserable. But her damage output, I think, is still a little lower than most of the other DPS heroes. Like, she's still not on par with Tracer, or you could even say Genji counting his blades and all the damage that he can do with dashes and so on. So I do think that you sacrifice a small percentage of your damage output to gain some utility, which, can be good or bad.
I think there's a chance that the meta could potentially shift towards triple DPS dive, where you play Genji, Tracer, Sombra, Winston, like Zen Lucio, because there is a chance that you can just completely make D.Va irrelevant in the game. If they run like a Winston, D.Va, Genji, Tracer dive, you could just play to hack the D.Va and then insta-kill a D.Va if you Discord her. I don't know how good that's going to be because I just don't really see it being consistent enough. But I think there is a chance that it does go down to triple DPS dive with solo tank Winston. But I mean, it's really too early to say right now. We'll have to see actual tournament games played on this patch because Overwatch League's played on the patch previous. So it's hard to say. I mean, Contenders, I think, is played on this patch.
I think so.
And Contender starts like this weekend or something, so that should be interesting to watch.
Yeah, it's always such a shame that the last... Go ahead.
Go ahead, Andres.
I was just going to say that it's always such a shame that the Overwatch League is kind of behind in patches because they're kind of setting the standard, right? That's who everyone's looking up to.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I was also going to mention the interesting side of this patch is that we still don't really have a good grasp on like when Brigitte's coming and if they're going to shift anything with changes. Like, I'm sure they're going to. It may not like be until she's in live and then the next patch after. But like at least for Owl or Overwatch League, we don't really know if that like the Brigitte patch is the one that's going to come out and then stage 3, or are we going to do like Brigitte patch and then maybe like the next balance patch after that and then stage 3? Or are we even getting Brigitte at all for, pro Overwatch? Because Contenders is basically like patch to patch, right?
I think Contenders is a lot more patch to patch, but they do have the tournament realm like OPR, which they play on the previous patch. I imagine the whole of Contenders. What the hell?
You okay there?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. I imagine that the whole of Contenders, at least the early stages, like before playoffs, will be on this current patch we're playing. I think OPR is on this patch. Could be wrong on that, though.
Should be this patch, yeah.
As for Overwatch League, I imagine Bridget would come out in stage 4. If I had to guess, I don't think she'll be out by stage 3. Stage 4 would be probably the earliest. Maybe she won't be in the entire season 1. I don't know.
Wow. You're expecting her way... I was expecting like stage 3, but I mean, I could see that.
She could be out
we got 3 weeks, right?
Possible, but there's not that much longer of stage 2 left, right?
No, there's like two more weeks.
2 weeks, and then we got the week off. So it depends on like when during that week off, if Brigitte comes, like when do they make that call?
I mean, as far as I know, no team is scrimming on PTR right now. Everyone's scrimming on live. So no one is actually scrimming with the current Brigitte right now, which would make me think. I mean, maybe that's just because of Contenders, but I would be surprised if she made it into stage 3.
And by the way, Her name is pronounced Brigitte. I thought it was weird, but
Really?
I got confirmation from Doa, which got confirmation from the dev team itself. Apparently, it's called Brigitte.
Brigitte?
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so Brigitte is confirmed to be Super Saiyan Blue Vegeta's sister.
That's what I said. I was like, yeah, that's such a Dragon Ball Z name.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I think that's great for Sombra. If anything comes up, it's likely to come up in the Doomfist discussion, because if Doomfist sees a Sombra, that's kind of like getting caught with your pants down in public. It's just a bad situation if you get hacked. It's not fun. All right, so talk to us about the Doomfist kind of evolution, I think is probably where I'd like to start. Like,
Well,
we got
so
the monumental hitbox until current day, right?
I mean, yeah. So the OG Doomfist, the right-click hitbox is just absurd. If you knew how to abuse it properly, you could literally punch people behind cover. If they were hiding behind, like, there was like this point I call first point, where there's like a car, and you can just punch them over the car. Like, you could punch them above the car, and it will hit them if they're standing behind it. So the old style of Doomfist was basically you just abused the hell out of your right click, because
Punch
it was just
cars.
so
I remember
it was
that.
so absurdly strong. Yeah, like, if you knew how to abuse it properly, you could just punch people around walls. So you basically play on your right click, you would engage with your right click, you'd use your shifty to escape. Now, since the right click's been nerfed, I think you play more on your combo where you E in, you shoot them once, you shift, and then whilst they're in the air, you shoot them like 3 more times, and then you use your right click to get away. I think right click generally now is more of a mobility tool than a DPS tool. Use it as a DPS tool against tanks because you can't really miss like a diva who's diving in. Like, if the diva flies in, you can just punch her and kill her, basically. Same with the Winston. You can always pressure rounds with your right click, but when you're trying to kill squishies, I found it's way more consistent to use your E-shift combo to secure like kills on like Zens, on soldiers, on Annas, because if you hit them with the E, they're basically guaranteed dead. If you've practiced the combo enough, there is almost no chance you can survive. There's very little counterplay, especially if they don't run any hard CC heroes like Roadhog, like McCree, like Sombra nowadays. And your ult usage is generally just to get away. I think your ult is kind of bad, but the strong thing about it is you can basically just intentionally feed and press Q and you won't die. And then you can always just like solo a Zen or something. Like, it's very rare you actually get more than 1 kill with your ult unless it's in a grav. So yeah, that's the playstyle just generally has shifted more towards using your E shift as opposed to your right click as a DPS tool.
Let's
let me
talk about
interrupt
that.
just a little here, because I need to clarify for our console players what he means by all of this language, just for the record. So E is uppercut.
No, E
right click is just firing. Go ahead, ChipSa. Sorry, I'm losing it with latency on my end.
Right, so right click is the rocket punch, E is the seismic slam, and shift is the uppercut. So now, old school, you'd initiate with the rocket punch, then you'd uppercut, and then use the seismic slam to get away. Nowadays, you want to generally engage with your seismic slam, then use your uppercut mid combo. So the general combo is you seismic slam, you shoot them once, you uppercut, and you shoot them 3 times when they're in the air, and then you use your rocket punch to escape.
There we go. There
you're
you
killing
have it,
them
boys.
with the fire.
Yeah, your main killing tool is your primary fire in theory, but your other 2 abilities set the primary fire up, so you basically can't miss it. Yeah,
I was about to say that the other abilities are your setup, right? You use your E as the gap closer and kind of like the slight immobilization, and then you uppercut, so you make them very predictable in their movement, and then it's very easy to aim at them.
I mean, the way that your seismic slam works is that if you hit like a target with no mobility, they're basically guaranteed dead if you have uppercut, because you will almost always be in range to uppercut them from that. So you get 1 shot, which does, like, let's just say does 50 damage. Your E will probably your seismic slam will probably do around 50 damage. Your uppercut does 50 damage, and then you still have 3 bullets whilst they're in the air with no possibility of them air strafing, which, even like a Zarya you can kill. You can 100 to 0 Zarya with that combo if you hit your headshots perfectly. So it's pretty strong.
One thing to note about his primary fire is that it's really strong. It doesn't feel like it because it doesn't have much range, and when you're just getting into Doomfist and you're not hitting really things, it doesn't feel that strong. But if you get like all 3 shots in the head of somebody, You can even can you one shot a tracer or close to one shotting a tracer with it, right?
Well, the way you can one-shot tracers, and this is incredibly hard to do, is if you shoot them and every single pellet hits the head and you melee them, it kills them. I think it's 132 damage if every
There you
single
go.
pellet hits the head. So, I mean, that is very, 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 very hard
Very
to do.
high.
But if a tracer's chasing you, you go around a corner, you can sometimes just like cheese her by just left clicking, punching her in the and then just quick meleeing her, and you just kill her instantly.
Yeah, kind of how some Genjis do it around the corner to just wait.
Yeah,
And
it's
they
the
shuriken
same
dash.
thing you do with the Genji right clicks. You can one shot a tracer with like if you just triple dink them with headshots, like you're gonna kill them.
So ChipSa, is there a little trick for when you get airborne with them on the uppercut to like maybe move closer to get those headshots?
Not really. You don't. I mean, most of the time you don't aim for headshots. You only aim for headshots when you're fighting a tank because the body shot damage is more than enough to kill them. You want to lead your when you uppercut them, you want to lead your primary fire because your primary fire is not hit scan, it's a projectile. So you want to if they're going up, you want to aim slightly above them, and if they're dropping back down, you want to aim slightly below them. But you don't really want to aim for headshots on squishy targets because it's just a waste. Your primary fire reload speed, especially since the buff is so fast that you can waste your ammo. And it doesn't really matter because you're basically playing on like a set of cooldowns. You're basically on an 8-second timer, right? So when you have all your cooldowns, you're incredibly dangerous. When you have none of your cooldowns, you're absolutely worthless. Like you're just completely trash. You're just going to die for free. So
yes, that's why Sombra deletes you.
Yeah, basically. So you play on your cooldowns, and you could just spam your left click as much as you can, as long as you have your left clicks charges up when you jump into the enemies. So that's the key.
Doomfist to me, more than any other DPS, and you need this for every hero that you play. For Doomfist in general, I think that puts a lot of emphasis on your timing of everything, right? Of
Absolutely.
being able to keep in mind your cooldowns, how you manage them. Also being able, he's all about projectile, right? Even his abilities, his rocket punch, his seismic slam, all of those you have to time because you're aiming them at a moving target that's usually away from you at a big distance. So you're trying to predict where they're gonna land, where you're gonna land, and then all of the rest of your abilities are all that like fine line of timing. And if you watch ChipSa play, sometimes it looks like his Doomfist never runs out of abilities. It's just like he's chaining abilities all over the place, and he just keeps flying
It's like a fighting
over.
game.
Yeah, it's like, why are his abilities never on cooldown? And he times them so well that there's always one of them up, so that he can keep up the mobility. Do you have any way that you specifically practice these things, or was it just like sheer amount of playing? Or what's your practice regime with Doomfist?
I mean, the key. I mean, I just grinded the hero a lot, and it's just kind of natural to me. I don't look at my cooldowns really at all. I just know when they're up in my mind. But as long as if you engage with your E and your shift, I mean, well, what you can do actually is that initially you can engage with your right click, which is so you engage with your rocket punch. Yeah, and then you want to use your seismic slam and then your uppercut combo to kill someone, and then probably by the time that's done, your rocket punch will back off cooldown because it's only a 4-second cooldown. That's kind of a bit dangerous because you have about a 1 to 2 second window when your rocket punch is not up. But most of the time, you want to use 2 of your abilities to get kills and 1 of them to get away. So whether you use your right click, so you use your rocket punch to go in and pin someone against the wall, and then you want to use your uppercut to finish them, and then use your seismic slam to get out, or you want to engage with your seismic slam and use your uppercut to finish them, and then use your rocket punch to get away. One thing that you really, really, really need to learn is how to do the rocket punch jump animation cancel with your rocket punch. So basically what you do is at the end of your rocket punch, you hit the space bar, you hit the jump key, and then you fly like an extra 10 meters. And that is incredibly useful.
Wow.
Especially point blank range. What you can do is if you just hold your space bar or hold your jump key and then you use rocket punch, you will have a very like basically no animation time on your rocket punch, and it'll travel you like very, very far. And that is probably the most important thing. If you want to learn Doomfist, you need to know how to use your right click for mobility.
So you jump before or after, or just after?
So when you're in your rocket punch, at the very end of your rocket punch, just before it ends, you want to hit this. You want to jump. So you
Okay.
don't.
So it's just like
And
Moira.
there's basically it's exactly the same as Moira. The same principle as Moira. Yeah.
And it's kind of like the same idea of when you grapple hook with Widowmaker and right before you hit the ledge, you jump. So you get flinged over thing, or how Mercy does it as well, where, your guardian angel to a person, you press spacebar, you get swung past your target.
It's the same principle, yeah.
It's kind of like the same idea, and it gives you a ton more mobility, and it makes you a lot less predictable. Because when you end your rocket punch, you're relatively vulnerable for a little bit of time, because you're just kind of standing there. You're going through a very predictable trajectory, so anyone who's aiming stuff at you has a big chance. But this way, you keep your momentum, and you're just so much harder to hit, as well as you can go around a corner much faster after you finish your rocket punch, and so on. Are there any non-obvious combos that you use with him? I know that Doomfist in itself is a hero where, like you said, you're always trying to mix and match your abilities depending on the terrain, on the hero that you're using. You're trying to usually use 2 at the most and save the other one. Which ones you use really depend on the situation. And I think that really comes down to you as a player, your play style, what do you like pulling off. But are there any combos with these abilities that you're like, okay, I know this is my go-to for this situation, or I know this is my go-to for this situation?
Well, okay, so there's 2 basic combos. The first combo is you engage Assassin Slam, then you use your uppercut to finish, and you use your rocket punch to get away. Your other combo is to use your rocket punch to go in, your uppercut to finish the kill, or sometimes just kill him with the rocket punch, and then your Assassin Slam to get away. Most of the time, if you have a high ground position, you want to use your Seismic Slam to engage. And this is because if you're above the ground a certain distance, you get what's called a honing E. I call it honing E because there's 2 different forms of your Seismic Slam. You have the one where if you're just on the ground, you do the same trajectory, like you go like the ooh. But if you're above the ground, you have like a little marker on the floor, and you will travel to that marker. And that is incredibly strong because you can cover insane distances with that. So if you're playing on like a high ground, like let's say you're playing Temple of Anubis first point, okay, and there's like that little spot that everyone jumps up to on the defense behind,
right?
And you can just sit there, and then let's say the enemy tanks dive in, you can then engage them with your E, uppercut them, and you can just shoot them like 4 times in the head, and there's almost nothing you can do, and you still have your rocket punch to get away. So if you have high ground, I'd use a Seismic Slam to engage. If you don't, or if they're pushing into like a choke, I'd use your rocket punch to engage because it's a lot easier to just hit someone by mistake with the rocket punch and just slap them,
So
as
like
for the
King's
other,
Row.
Yeah, like King's Row. Like if they're pushing in, like again, Temple of Anubis first point. If you're defending on the mid, on like the little like not the high ground, but the high ground. If they push into the right into that little small room, your rocket punch is just going to destroy them every time. As for other non-thingy combos, there is like a combo I do specifically on Roadhog, and that is you engage with your rocket. Well, what you can do is you can if you're really close to him, you can engage with your uppercut, and then you shoot them in the air. And then what you do is you E behind them, do 1A, and then this will like juggle them. Like so, as they're about to hit the ground with the uppercut, if you hit them with the Seismic Slam, they will like sort of jump back up again,
pop up again.
Yeah, and they're basically just like a sitting duck. And then what you want to do against the Roadhog specifically is that the second he uses his take a breather, you then instantly just cancel it with your rocket punch, and that will put it on cooldown, and he gets no healing from it, and he's just basically guaranteed dead at that point.
Oh, nice! I like that one. That one's pretty advanced. Uppercut and
it also
then,
helps you dodge the
180
hook. I would imagine.
Slam.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the problem with the Roadhog matchup is that if you like when you're uppercutting a Roadhog and you're both there, it's pretty easy to hook you. But if you E behind him, he's going to miss the hook like almost every single time.
I gotta try that out. Now, do you have any tips for aiming the slam? Because I think that
the slam's so janky.
Compared to like his rocket punch and his uppercut, I think that the slam is the hardest one to aim, right? Because you're doing it at distance. The cone itself seems lenient, but I don't think so. Like it's easy to miss, especially if they're close to you. Is there any particular way that you aim at the ground to give you a better advantage or a distance from the heroes?
I mean, the problem with Seismic Slam is an incredibly buggy ability. Just by design, you will miss people when you should hit them. But what people do, like, you want to be on the same level as them in terms of height, or if they're up a ramp or down a ramp, you can hit them. But if they're on like a box above the ground, it won't hit them. But generally with your seismic slam, you don't want to get point blank range with it. You want to be like basically on the maximum range possible, because if you go like, let's say you go inside them basically with your seismic slam, you like fly inside someone, it's very, very hard to actually hit the E, the seismic slam. As weird as that sounds, like it's just really frustrating when you seismic slam in and you go like basically inside them and you can't do anything about it. And even if you do hit them, sometimes if you're really, really close when you hit them with the E, they like bounce on your head or something like that, something stupid. So you can't actually get the follow up. So you want to try and keep like a mid distance in terms of your E range. Like let's say the E range is this big. You want to, instead of, and like this is the enemy here, this is you. You want to be like this kind of a range. Any closer than this is like a no-go zone, basically.
You basically want to keep it at the max range.
Too close.
Yeah, if you're like, if you can sniff them, it's too close, basically.
If you can smell their body odor, which probably is not good for any of those Overwatch characters.
I had a couple random questions regarding the seismic slam. So the first one is, there's a number at the very bottom of the brackets when you're charging it. And it doesn't have to do with like holding the key down per se, right? It has to do with like the distance traveled. It's
not the distance traveled, it's how long you've been in the air for. So like there's actually
what does that modify?
So it just increases the damage. So whatever the number is how much damage it does, and it goes from up to a maximum of 125. So a thing that can happen sometimes is you can seismic slam onto a Lucio who boops you in the air, and because it's not about distance travel, it's about time in the air, then your E damage is just ramping up, and then you land on them with the seismic slam.
Oh man!
And it will hit them for 125 damage, and you'll just instantly kill them, pretty much.
Nice.
So this is why it's so powerful to do it from the high ground.
Yeah, if you do a honing E from the high ground, you will almost always get a 80 to 90 damage seismic slam, which against a squishy target, along with the uppercut damage, which is 50, they're just instantly dead, pretty much.
And I've seen this happen many times, right? Where Doomfist just dive a Zen or a Lucio, any of the 150 to 200 HP heroes, and when they get like the seismic slam plus the uppercut, and they're maybe like a little bit chipped in damage or something, is an instant kill right there.
Yeah,
it's pretty nice.
Especially
I know supports hate it. I know supports player really hate this move, but it really does work.
There is like, nobody can play Doomfist like this, so I'm pretty safe.
I mean, there is like a combo that you can literally one-shot people, but it's kind of a bit risky. It depends on what hero you're doing it on. But if you can land them with the seismic slam and you like take a step forward just before they land, if you get so close to them, you can hit every single bullet in the head, and then you uppercut straight afterwards. It kills any 200 HP hero, regardless of the damage of your seismic slam. You need like a 20 damage seismic slam to kill them.
Nice.
Which you never get less than that, pretty much.
That's very cool. All right, before closing the discussion on Doomfist, I wanted to talk a little bit about the art of moving with Doomfist, because I think that one of the things that separates you from being an okay Doomfist to a really good Doomfist is how you choose to approach your targets, how you choose to move with him. If you watch ChipSa play Doomfist, he is incredibly unpredictable. Like some of the stuff that I've seen you do on like Legion Tower, on like Gardens, where you climb all the way up to the tower with your ultimate, and then you're like flying off fighting Pharahs, and the way that you move keeps you hidden most of the time until you need to engage, which I think is really smart. Can you talk a little bit about that, about the way that you move with Doomfist, kind of like your style there?
Well, basically, one of the coolest things about Doomfist is that every single ability can be used for damage or mobility. Even your ultimate can be used for mobility. Like you can, it's I don't know if it's like a glitch or a bug or whatever, but like when like you can just ult on like huge surfaces, like super tall buildings, and you just like land on top, and you can just fly down and just slap people out of the sky, you know. But the key to moving is that your shift, like your uppercut movement, is generally basic, pretty easy. Your seismic slam movement is relatively basic once you learn what the two different versions of the seismic slam is, with the honing seismic slam and I call it the floaty seismic slam. You want to generally 90% of the time be aiming for the honing version, because it's just a lot more accurate and a lot more consistent.
Well, when you say honing versus floaty, what do you exactly mean?
So the honing E is when you're above the ground a certain distance. Your your seismic slam will have
indicator.
it has like a little indicator, and the movement is like you basically just travel in a straight line to the target. Whereas your floaty seismic slam basically is when you are just on the ground. If you're grounded or like a very, very small distance above the ground, you will just do the same trajectory where you can't like aim it at all. It just does the same like move.
Oh, gotcha.
So
It's a
there is
set
like
distance on level ground. Yeah.
yeah, basically, yeah. So that's sometimes useful if you're playing on like a high ground and you can float E from the high ground and drop. Like you can drop like the full wing, like a max 125 damage, like a max 125 damage seismic slam. But most of the time you want to be using the honing seismic slam because your E generally is a setup tool. It's not a damage tool.
Right.
And there is like little techniques you can do to like what's called like a forcer honing seismic slam, where like let's say you're playing on like a ledge, and there's someone like relatively far away. What you can do is you can drop off the ledge a little bit, then honing seismic slam all the way across the thing. That's a pretty advanced technique, but it's one that people don't expect because they don't expect you to be able to fly like across the map with your E when they're like that far away.
Yeah, because you can set up the indicator before you get too far away, right? You can
exactly,
kinda, like,
yeah,
slowly
exactly,
fall down and then set it up. Does this work if you jump off of the ledge as well?
Like you can't jump above the ground and do it. Like the jump height is not high enough to do it. But if you jump off the ledge and like, so let's say you have a high ground like this, and then the floor's here. If you jump from like here, then it counts as like you being above the ground enough to get the honing seismic slam.
Okay. So it'll work either way if you like fall off or jump off, as long as you have that set distance between you and the lower ground that you're jumping to. Okay.
Yes.
So how do you approach fights from like flank routes and like when they're appropriate? Because a lot of times this is going to be dictated by both maps and team compositions, and also just like overall you kind of get a feel for your team about 1-2 minutes into the game about how survivable you can be in other situations, and you kind of have this ebb and flow when you stream. You kind of like figure it out, right? Because this is not like professional games. This is like just grandmasters, right?
Well, I mean, it depends on the composition, because if they're not running any heavy CC comp, like if they're running like a soldier, let's say they run like a soldier tracer with like a Zen Lucio, you basically can just like farm the backline incredibly easily, because your biggest counter is if you get stunned mid ability. Like if you're dropping on someone with your seismic slam and a McCree stuns you, you're basically just like completely screwed, because not only do you get stunned, you miss the damage on your seismic slam. You don't get passive shields from your seismic slam. You don't get that like the shields from your passive when you hit an ability on an enemy, and you're basically just guaranteed dead at that point. But if they don't run heavy CC, I generally tend to play a flank heavy style, where you just like sit in like a stupid spot or whatever, like a cheese spot, and as the enemy team engages, then you just insta kill their supports or like their like hit scan, like their soldier, whatever. If they're playing a CC heavy comp, generally you just want to play to counter dive, or you want to just like wait until the fight and like try and keep track of like a rotor cook or like a McCree stun, or you just want to like insta kill a Winston or something. A lot of the time in that situation, I just switch, because if they're just sending so much resources to deal with you, there just isn't really much point, because I don't really think in solo queue you can play a defensive style. You can play it, but I don't think it's that efficient. I think it's just more efficient to just play a hyper aggressive flank heavy style. I think that's the general way you carry in solo queue, is you just insta kill their support, and then often you can just make their support tilt, then they just tilt switch the hand zone, you win. That has happened before.
That's your strategy, huh? You just try to make it.
That is a pretty good strategy.
Get the Zenyatta's to play support or not play support anymore.
I've been on the losing end of that strategy. It's not fun.
All right, Andres, do you have any more questions about the mobility? I know that there's maybe one more thing that we didn't really touch on, which is like just how to get a good feel for your overall durability when you are landing the abilities. Because there's going to be a weird mid game when you start jiving with the combo and start landing a little bit more consistently. You start like, you're like, okay, I think I can do this now. And then you're like, well, I keep dying. Like, how do I know when I'm in that limbo to switch, or when it's just not working for me anymore and it's not necessarily my ability?
I mean, it depends, because if the enemy team is, like I said, if the enemy team particularly playing like McCree Roadhog, and they're just sitting on their supports, you go for their supports, you get instantly stunned, you get hooked, you just get destroyed instantly. Like that's the kind of point where you might as well just pick something else. You just pick like a soldier and just poke the tanks down. But in terms of like 1v1 matchups and stuff, it's like it depends, because certain 1v1s you want to play it slow, so certain you want to play it fast. Like if you're 1v1ing a hog, you generally want to use all your abilities like as fast as you possibly can, because what that does is, since your passive gives you 30 shield per ability you hit on an enemy, if you land all your abilities instantly, you're going to get a 90 damage shield with your 250 HP. That's 340 HP. And that means even if you get hooked and shot, he's not going to kill you. Like Uzuma's never going to kill you with that combo. I mean, Road is hard to one-shot Doomfist as is with the Roadhog. So, but in other matchups like a soldier where you're not really under any pressure to kill him fast, you're better off taking it slow, so you have an ability to escape. So it's really about just playing the game, playing the hero a lot, and learning the 1v1 matchups. Certain 1v1s you want to take fast. Generally, CC heavy ones you want to take fast, like McCree, like Hog. So you build that shield fast, and it's hard for them to instantly kill you, because you're just going aggressive on them, and they just don't really know what to do about it. Other ones you want to play slow, like the ones you're just going to kill. For instance, like if you're 1v1ing an Ana, what's a really important thing to do is as you land them with the E, what I tend to do is I tend to take a sidestep to the right or to the left, whatever, to try and dodge the sleep dart, because there's no time pressure, because she's never going to kill you, and like it's just going to take like 10 hours to kill you, basically.
10 hours.
So as long as you don't get slept, you're going to kill her every single time. So it's just about playing the game a lot and learning the 1v1 matchups, basically.
Very cool. Very cool.
Get a buddy and go practice.
Basically, yeah.
Just at the top of your head, which are your favorite 1v1 matchups to take, and which are your least favorite?
I mean, in terms of, not favorite, but like how easy it is to beat them. Like Soldier's incredibly easy, Zen's incredibly easy, Hanzo's incredibly easy. Widowmaker's a bit weird because she has like CC immunity when she grapples. Like you can't stop her grapple with anything but your right click.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can get on a Widowmaker and she doesn't see you, you can insta kill her. Ana is okay as long as you don't get slept. She's gonna insta kill her. The hard ones are like McCree, because if he stuns you mid right click or he stuns you mid seismic slam, you're just dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like the thing with the McCree matchup is that if you engage with your seismic slam, if you hit the seismic slam as he stuns you, you're probably going to win it, because you get the shields and it displaces him, makes it very like you basically can't fan the hammer at you, because he's going to be like jiggled back and you're going to be so like one of the bullets is probably going to miss from the fan the hammer, plus you get the shields, which is not going to die. It makes it also hard to headshot because the McCree's like airborne. But the McCree, the Roadhog, is very hard. The Tracer is incredibly hard. In the pure 1v1, you basically have to just outplay the fuck out of it if you want to actually kill her. Mm-hmm. Like you have to predict a blink. Like the way you play the matchup is you basically just predict a blink, or you try and force a recall and predict where she's going to recall to. There's just no other way you can really kill her unless she's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Or you get the jump on her.
Yeah, I mean, if you can catch her from behind, you're going to kill any hero in the game. But specifically Tracer, you don't have to charge your rocket punch like at all. You can just basically tap it. Just a little tiny charge, and you're gonna insta kill her. As for the Genji matchup's an interesting one, because it depends on the terrain you're fighting. If he has like little ledges you can like wall climb up to and stuff, you basically just can't do anything to him. But if it's on flat ground, you're basically gonna win every time. The way I play that is that I time his double jump. Like I keep track of his double jump, and as he's double jumping down, you want to use an ability on him. So you either want to seismic slam him as he's doing it, or you want to rocket punch him as he's about to fall down.
Very cool.
As for the matchups, most of the matchups generally are kind of basic. Like the Reinhardt matchup is the only mind game you have with the Reinhardt matchup is often if you charge your right click, if you charge a rocket punch, they will try and meet your rocket punch with the charge. So what you can actually do against certain rounds is you can charge your rocket punch, then cancel it. He's then going to charge into your team, intentionally feed, and then you just kill him straight away.
Oh, that's cool. That's some next level.
That's like a little mind game.
How do you cancel it for the unengaged? How do you cancel?
If you just hit as you're charging your right click, you just hit left click and it cancels it.
And it's really funny.
Primary.
Yeah, you hit primary fire. Yeah.
It's really funny because I don't know what is it about Ryan's, but whenever they see another charging Reinhardt or a Doomfist, they have to charge. It's like an impulsive thing. They can't control it. Yeah. They just have to do it.
I mean, a lot of the time it's worth it, because if I'm going in and he meets my charge, I'm in the middle of his team. and I'm gonna die, whereas he's probably not gonna die.
Mhm.
But if you can bait, like especially sometimes like in the game, like they're meeting a charge like every time, and I'm just like, well, this guy's just gonna meet my charge every single time, so I'm just gonna fake it. He charges into my team, and then I just slap him in the asshole, you know.
There you go. It's a great strat.
The good 1-2 spank.
Exactly. Yeah. Easy.
Alrighty. I think that'll do it for my questions, but is there anything that you think I haven't asked you or you haven't covered that it's particularly useful for Doomfist? And if not, we can pretty
Common
much close it
string
here.
questions, yeah.
The only thing that I think I would say that I don't think I mentioned when the mobility is that your rocket punch can be used to surf off roofs and objects, and this is an incredibly important thing to do because you can just get to some wacky flank routes if you do this. Basically, what you want to do is that as you're about to hit a surface, you want to jump, and then you will like fly off the surface, and like sometimes you get like 16 miles in the air.
And you're talking about
it's crazy.
slopes, right?
Yeah, I mean, if once you master it, you can basically do it off anything. It's generally off like rooftops. Like if you play Icon Wall, so let's say you're on Icon Wall second point, you know, like the big high ground tower,
Mm-hmm.
the huge high ground tower. What you can do is that you can rocket punch off that. Like there's like a little rooftop above the gate. You can like jump off that, slide off there, fly up in the air, and then land, then go straight down with your seismic slam and just insta kill anyone who's there. And this kind of thing is incredible. It's just like probably the highest skill ceiling part of the kit because you can legitimately do it on pretty much any object in the game. Like you can do it. You can like fly with your rocket punch off any object. Well, not any object, but like a lot of objects in the game. And this is something I'd really would encourage you to go try to do. It's what Brandito does very well. Is he finds these like wacky spots.
Now I really want to try it now. So it really depends on the timing, though. You have to jump right before you hit it.
Yeah, you have to jump just before you hit it. If you do it too late, you'll just like splat into the object. You do it too early, you just won't do anything. Basically,
you have to be at the level of the surface. So like,
yes,
you can hit it like head on, right? You have to be right above it.
Yeah, basically you have to like let's say you're flying like this. This is the object here. You kind of want to be like that kind of an angle off it. If you do too high, if you just graze it like this, you'll just go like. You'll basically do nothing. If you do too low, you just splat into it. So it's like finding the right thing. It just depends on the object, really. But you do it kind of like this, and then you fly off like that.
Gotcha.
It's just that particular thing is just incredibly difficult, and it's just something you have to practice in custom games.
Yeah. And I would encourage all of our audio listeners to maybe just go check out Chips on his stream because in there you will see him do this kind of thing all of the time.
Yeah,
absolutely. Doomfist is not an easy hero, even when we're explaining the most basic of things. I don't think that's something we could really underestimate. If you're going to be playing Doomfist in comp, you're going to have to put a lot of hours into it and maybe invest a little bit of your bronze ranks out there to get over learning him. But
Doomfist is still one of those heroes that makes me feel like I just started playing Overwatch again. Like most of the other heroes, I have a pretty firm grasp. I feel like, I can do my thing. I go on Doomfist, I'm like, dude...
I'm getting banned. I'm getting banned.
I think he probably is the most unique hero in the game. I think he's of every single hero in the game. I think he's the most different. Like, it's the least. Like you could say, like, oh, Sombra kind of plays like Tracer, and like McCree kind of plays like Soldier. But Doomfist doesn't really play like anyone.
Yeah, he's in his own league, especially because
it really is.
You have to be like so precise and so melee range with everything you do. He's more like a fighting game character. Like he reminds me of like a Street Fighter character.
Hypermobility. If you're not mobile anymore, then it's game over. You know.
Absolutely.
Just hit the reset button on your Super Nintendo, and it's time to go pack up. All right, well, guys, I think that's gonna do it for us on the show. I did actually look for some news this week, and there's surprisingly nothing. So what does that mean in Overwatch language? There is something big coming. And we just got Brigitta's like announcement like 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago. So I would say that something related to that could be updated on the PTR. We could be getting Uprising, like, because we had March 5th was the last day of Year of the Dog, which I'm a little bitter about because I missed buying my Genji skin. I totally forgot about it with credits, but that means Uprising's coming up next. Or the anniversary event is coming up next for Overwatch's 2nd year anniversary. Overwatch, please. I know that you guys did this cool golden theme, but I just want every hero as a Pachimari. Just give me that. And I want that as my life for a player icon. That would be awesome.
I'm not opposed to that.
Mari. Doomfist Pachimari. That would be great. I want to punch people with Pachimari tentacles all day long. That'd be great. Maybe that sounded a little bit more suggestive than maybe it should have. But I think we're gonna get out of here. But we got a couple more people to thank. We got Hierston, I think is how you say it, and Big Buzz 101 on iTunes. Thank you guys so much for your iTunes reviews and kind words on the 5-star reviews. If you guys want to support the show non-financially, this is probably the best way to do it besides just listening, is heading over to iTunes. It boosts our subscriber count. If you're subbed on iTunes, it boosts our search results in Google and in iTunes, believe it or not, because Google does look at iTunes reviews, and helps a ton. So if you want to do that, you can. If you guys want to find the show, best way to find us is go to our website, omniclab.com. You can find everything you need to know there. We're on Twitter, we're on Facebook. You can watch the live streams, generally are on Friday mornings or Friday nights around 9 or 9. Those are our 2 times, magic hours. And if you want to join our Discord community, we did a big revamp on it this week. I guess I have to make the announcement, Andra, since we did it like today or yesterday your time. We moved over the Owl Recap community because they weren't sure what they wanted to do with the community. But what we've done is we basically extended the Owl Recap community to have their own shared section of our Omnic Lab Discord. So go to Omnic Lab. Discord is discord.me/Omnic Lab, and you can find Owl Recap and esports under the same flagship. And then we've also added new roles where you can see even Justin, Bob, and Mel with the Omnic Lab Recap roles, and you can ping them and ask them questions and bother them. Please do that. They love it when you bother them and ask them questions.
Absolutely.
And watch Overwatch League together.
We figured
especially
that
if it means making fun of the fuel. For
yeah, Bob will love that. We figured that it would
Bob
be
loves that.
kind of redundant and too silly to open up a separate Discord to discuss Overwatch League, since a lot of you guys that listen to the show are already into the league themselves. So we just figured we'd open the space in there and we just keep everyone in the same place. I know that I'm part of enough Discord servers to have enough reading material for the rest of my life. So I'm not really trying to add any more of those. I know that some of you feel the same. So yeah, come over and hang out over an Omnic Lab Discord and talk Overwatch League with us. That's
going to be it. We also have merch if you want to check that out, but I'm not going to belabor the point anymore. You guys can check out the show notes. You guys can read. ChipSa, let us know where we can find you. What kind of is your general schedule on streaming so we can watch you and creep on you and spam emotes in your chat? I think you're muted.
I think you're muted
right now, actually.
We can't hear your beautiful voice.
There you go.
There you go.
Fine. I was just testing you guys. You can find me with twitch.tv/ChipSa. My Twitter is twitter.com/ChipSa_W. My YouTube channel is youtube.com/ChipSa. I normally stream around 3 o'clock to 8 o'clock my time, London time, whatever. I'm live pretty much every day. So that's where you can find me.
I definitely encourage you to check out this man. He is really entertaining to watch, especially because you don't really find the Doomfist gameplay that he plays anywhere else. So it's a pretty unique Twitch channel. Go check him out. Go support him. Spam some emotes. Subscribe to him if you can.
Do it.
Andres, where can we find you and the Owl Recap?
If you personally want to find me, you can find me on Twitter at iPlayGames. You spell that IPLAI Games. And you can also find me talking Overwatch League over at the Overwatch League Recap, or the Owl Recap, however you want to pronounce it. You can find that on iTunes. And now you can find us on the Omnic Lab Discord as well. If you want to personally reach out to the hosts, ask us questions, submit questions for the show, or just in general be part of the crew, there we are.
If you guys want to find me, I'm on Twitter at the tag NotRob. Also the same tag in Discord if you want to ping me. I am very active in our community. If you also want to do some more stuff with Hearthstone, and you like some Hearthstone, we will be talking a lot about Hearthstone in the upcoming weeks with Velen's Chosen. I believe this week we are actually talking about the entire sets that are rotating out and stuff we can anticipate when we get the new set. We did a little bit of theory crafting on the 2-3 expansions that are coming this year. So if you can check that out, VelensChosen.com. Lots of hype around the podcast. I think we've beaten to death a lot of the news updates, so we're excited to talk about something that we want to talk about that isn't in the news for a change. And yeah, you can go check that out over there. Guys, it's been great having Chips on the show. Also, last minute and bridging the time zone has been great. So thank you again for joining us, ChipSa. It's been fantastic.
Thanks for having me, lads.
All righty. We'll see you guys next week. And remember, don't be a lab rat, be a scientist. We'll see you guys on Omnic Lab 95 in the following week. Toodles.
Thanks to everyone in the chat. You guys rock. We got all of Chips' crew in here, as well as the usual suspects. Good to see you guys.
Love the Chips and W's in the chat.
I like that word, lads. I need to use that more often. You definitely don't hear enough here in America.
You must learn for yourself.
I know the Spitfire, Twitter uses it for everything. They can just call their team the lads. Yeah.
The lads. I like it.
Thanks, Bio. Stylist says it all the time. Well, then we can't use it now. Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.